Well, church family, it is Wednesday night here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. We are going to start our Wednesday night evening midweek Oasis service. My name is Paul Pursuti. I'll be your host tonight. Delighted to be here, and even more delighted that you've all shown up. We have a wonderful evening planned for you. But some of you may, if you're joining us for the first time, we welcome you, and you're probably going, why did he say Oasis? Well, Oasis for us on Wednesday night is that place where we can be together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. And our Wednesday night services have been crafted in a way that it's a little bit more interactive than the Sunday service. Reverend Jeff liked it to be in the satsang style. Reverend Jerry, who's now in charge, is continuing that concept. And the satsang style is delivered with the intention that we be informal, intimate, and rich. We have a gifted speaker speak for about 20 minutes, and then we open it up for a rich discussion. And the tone is set that it's informal and intimate. So that's our plan for you tonight. Our annual theme is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. And our monthly theme, it's drawing to a close. This is the last Wednesday night for this theme, a playful pause for guidance. So like I said, if you're here for the first time, welcome. Please check out our website at oaklandcsl.org. That's where you came in. We have an events page. And if you'd like to stay further connected with us, you can do that by getting our Village News newsletter. On the left-hand lower corner, you can enter your email of the homepage and your email address, and it'll put you on a list and you'll receive what's coming up in the coming week, every week. Please note that you will be muted by our Zoom team, because in Zoom, that improves our quality of transmission. So with that in mind, we have a special guest tonight also joining us. Not a guest so much, a special member of our family as a part of the service tonight. Reverend Sally is here, and she's going to open us up in prayer. And I really mean open us up, because that's what I'm trying to do, is be open at the top all the time. So Reverend Sally's going to do that for us, and then she'll introduce our speaker tonight, Reverend Champion Fleming. Reverend Sally, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. And welcome everyone to the Wednesday evening Oasis. And let's turn within for a minute as we allow our eyes to close and our hearts and our ears to open to that infinite realm of possibilities, that universal presence that is always present, always available, always listening, always speaking, always here, now. I recognize that this one universal being is who and what I am. It is who and what each and every beloved on this call is. We are it, being itself, individualizing itself, localizing itself in, through, and as each of us. And knowing this, I know that tonight is blessed, that we are open and ready to receive the deep wisdom from Reverend Champion, that she shares from her place of authenticity, reality with a capital R, with a deep understanding of the one. And I am grateful for this, and I let it be, and so it is. So I get the honor and the privilege of introducing a dear friend, the friend who went through ministerial classes with me, Reverend Champion Fleming. They are one of the most authentic individuals that I had the pleasure of getting to know in ministerial school. I know every time that we were giving presentations, and I knew it was Reverend Champion's opportunity to share with us, that I would gain, I would receive deep wisdom. So they is currently serving as an assistant minister of organizational development at CSL White Rock. And I know that they does a lot within the CSL organizations and focuses on inclusion, racial equality, and allowing each and every individual to come to life as who and what they are, an expression of the one. So please give a warm welcome to Reverend Champion Fleming.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm extending my hands as an expression of my heart to you all. I'm zooming in from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where I have just driven myself. I live in Oakland, and about 10 days ago, I left my lovely little house down in the flatlands near Emeryville, and I packed up my car and I drove. And so tonight the talk is a guidance positioning system, or GPS. And let me tell you, I have used my GPS, my guidance, my inner guidance, and also my mapping, and it's been a beautiful, beautiful experience. When I left my house, and when I started making the plan, I was fully vaccinated, and I knew I wanted to come to a dear friend of mine is getting married. And as my trip got closer and closer, the circumstances surrounding the Delta variant and the rise in cases of COVID-19 was very much in the press. And also, for me, during the last 18 or whatever months of this global pandemic, the pandemic has actually gotten closer and closer and closer, and the longer it's gone on, the more people I know and the closer the people are to me who've been impacted or have actually contracted COVID. And so I had to really go within to decide, was it my time to travel? Was it an okay idea to come to this wedding? And after some prayer and meditation and asking for guidance, I got that I should drive. And so I did. And I came up with this metaphor, and I don't know why, but for some reason, I had some fake science that mosquitoes could fly in a rainstorm without getting wet. They somehow had the capacity to fly and dodge raindrops. And so I had a metaphor that I would be a mosquito in a rainstorm and I would dodge the Delta variant. And I set this as my intention. And then I decided to look into it. And in fact, that is some old science or some fake science, and that mosquitoes, in fact, don't dodge raindrops. They actually become one with raindrops. So raindrops can fall up to 22 miles an hour. And if a mosquito was to get hit by a raindrop, it would be like you or I getting hit by a Mack truck. The force, the impact would take us out. And so what mosquitoes have adapted to do is they have adapted by becoming one with the water, by becoming one with the raindrop. And then the speed of the raindrop hits the strength of their exoskeleton and passes right by. And so I revised my metaphor to be the strength of my exoskeleton is my willingness to be one with the divine. It's my willingness to be guided, to ask for direction, and to allow myself to be supported. And I'm nothing special. I'm just willing. And each one of us has that same capacity to be willing to be guided, be willing to be protected, be willing to be provided for financially, to be willing to have really amazing, loving relationships. It's in our willingness that we can access our guidance. It's inherent to us. We were born with the capacity. We were born in our unbound, free, powerful, joyful, whole selves. And right now, we're being asked to adapt. We're being asked to withstand the weight of a raindrop. With everything that we see going on in the world, we're being asked to allow our exoskeleton to protect us. So one of my favorite authors, who's based out of Detroit, her name is Adrienne Marie Brown. And she says that everything that we have going on culturally, as the systems that we've created that no longer support us, as we dismantle those systems, we need to hold each other, take care of each other, while we allow those systems to transform, fall away. And she says, if we can look to nature, that there's so much inspiration in nature for how we can adapt and move through periods like this period that we're moving through right now. And so I look to the mosquito to teach me about becoming one with these really strong impacts that we're experiencing, right? To become one rather than avoid or run away, we become one and allow them to just unfold. And we have the faith, we have our interior connection, we have the presence, the power of the divine within us. That is our exoskeleton. And if we turn toward that, if we can turn within and engage that, we can really transform and come out the other side of all these things that we're seeing with the environment, with institutional and systemic racism, with the COVID virus and the variants. We are the ones who can be that mosquito and be one and create a space for something new to be evolving into. Holmes, in this thing called You, he says, the universe is one vast system, and all the laws of nature conspire to benefit humankind. He says, it's as though nature said, all right, little man, the game is yours. Play it as you see fit. I'm going to serve you, but don't fool yourself. I'm going to reflect right back to you with exactness what you really are. If you don't like what is happening, I'm not going to be disturbed. You are the arbiter of your fate. You are the captain of your soul. And so if we look out and we don't see what we want to be seeing, if we don't see a world that's working for everyone, we can turn toward it and engage our divine selves, we have been given choice. We have been given choice. The divine has given us absolute unbound freedom and possibility, and we have been given choice. So how are we choosing? What faculties are we engaging when we make our choices? And so I was thinking about this as I was preparing to go on my trip. How will I choose? What will be the choices that I make along my route from Oakland, California to Toronto, Ontario, which is 55 hours and 3,200 miles away? What are the choices that I'm going to make to help me be safe? What are the choices that I'm going to make that allow me to be in a sense of my own peace, a sense of my own wholeness, a sense of possibility, of faith that I'm traveling roads that keep me protected, that I'm in gas stations and grocery stores that are safe places to be, that will keep me safe. And I think I have many, many times in my life where I have called on the divine to show me, or called for protection, or asked for guidance. And there are other times when I haven't even had to ask and guidance has just come. It comes through. And one time in particular, I was in a coaching session with my coach, who's now been my spiritual coach for a number of years. And so a few years ago, I was sitting and I was talking about how I didn't necessarily feel that I belonged. I was kind of checking in around my name that my parents had given me and deciding I wanted to change it. And then really coming into this idea that of my gender identity is different than what I was born into, and it was creating this sense of not belonging and not necessarily feeling safe in the world. And my coach said, I want you to just say I am, because we know when we say I am, the thing that comes after it is a prayer. It's a vibration we send out, and the truth is then reflected back to us. So she said, I want you to say, I am safe. And I was all shy and I didn't want to do it. And I was like, oh, and I wouldn't look in on Zoom at her. I just said, I'm safe. She's like, come on. So I said, okay, I am safe. 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 And then we closed the session and I got in my car and I was driving to meet a friend at the lake, and Lake Merritt, and I was on time and I was getting off the exit on Lakeshore. It's the one that goes, it's like a off ramp, but there's also parking spaces and there's a gas station, and like Trader Joe's is right there. I love this because I think most of you are in and around Oakland and probably have an experience of this. And so I was getting off the exit ramp and something just said, park, pull over and park. And I was like, what? I only have to go through one light and then turn left to where I'm going to meet my friend. Why would I park? But I parked. Said, well, I'll just pull over and park. I pulled over and parked. And the next thing that happened was this high-speed car coming down the ramp way too fast with lots of cars in front of it. it slowed down. And when it slowed down, the back window rolled down and a young man jumped out the window of the moving car into oncoming traffic. And unfortunately, I witnessed what happens when someone jumps out into moving traffic. And I reached for my phone to call 911. I started to get out of my car to go help him. And then I thought, what am I going to do? I called 911. And before I could even finish dialing the last one, like 20 police cars came down the intersection. And it was a high-speed police chase. And there were multiple points of accident, all the way down through the stoplight, all the way up to where I would have been turning left to meet my friend. And there was all kind of serious to not so serious accidents, including the young man who leapt out of the window of the moving vehicle. And I just was able to sit in my car praying for everything that I saw, praying for the wholeness of everybody involved, understanding my connection with each person engaged in what had just transpired. And so I want you to think now about a time when you received guidance, when there was a time you didn't do something or did do something, some way that either an active prayer for support or just this sort of everyday miracle appeared in your life. I want you to think about that time. And this may seem remarkable. This may seem unusual or extra special. But this is the truth of who we are. This is the power that we have that is inherent in us. We were born into it. This magnificence is what we were born into. There is a power in the universe for us to use, and it resides within us. It is an everyday outcome of who we are, who we were born to be. That we can live from our unbound true self. We can engage just through a willingness to engage. It doesn't matter who we are, what body we were born into, some wrong we might have done to somebody, a relationship that we don't feel good about ending, a job we got released from because we maybe weren't showing up the best way. None of that matters. God holds nothing against us. We were born into this power, this presence, this magnificence. It is within us. It is the truth of our beingness. And this is a time for us to engage in becoming one with even the storms, to become one with the storm, to be in it with our consciousness, with our power, with our love, with our wholeness, with our joy, to be in the storm with that and to share that. Another one of my favorite things in nature that is inspiring to me, that I think of around this time that we're in, is a murmuration of starlings. Have you ever seen a murmuration of starlings? Starlings are maybe just kind of hanging out, and then there's a predator or a gunshot or a firework, and somebody in that flock sends out an alarm, and they all move into formation with each other. They move with clear connection, with a clear communication, and they evade the predator or the danger. They evade it, and they can be in a flock of up to 1 million birds, but they keep track only of the 7 closest to them. And it's an electromagnetic field that they're in. And they hold an awareness of their 7 closest neighbors. And this, to me, is such a brilliant way that we can be together. When we talk of creating a world that works for everyone, we don't have to create that whole world, right? We just have to be in connection with a few or 7, right? And make our awareness like, are these people okay? Have I checked in on these people? How are they doing? We can share ourselves. We can share our love and our power, our peace, everything that God is, we are. And we can share this out just in a way that doesn't deplete us, but that feeds us. So I want you to think of your willingness to be in the presence, to access that internal knowing, that internal guidance, that internal truth. And think of the 7 or the 3 or the 9 or the 2 who you can share this with, that you can reverberate in this with, that you can. Yesterday I was camping on a lake in southern Ontario, and I was writing, and a bird flew so close to my cheek that I could feel the wind. I wrote in my journal, "You are the wind beneath my wings," and it's against my cheek, right? Like, how can we feel into each other? Can we feel into each other with the truth of who we are and lift and hold each other? This is a time we have a mandate for connection. We have a mandate for murmuration, murmuring the divine to each other. This is a time for this. And so I want us to be now in conversation. I want to hear about the guidance you've received. I want to hear about your own practice of connection and guidance. And I want to hear about how you're holding each other, especially in this community after, the transition of Jeff. How are you holding each other? How are you murmuring together in your divinity? This is our time for questions and connection.
Paul?
Okay, church family. So Peter's going to guide us through this process tonight, recognizing you. If you want to share something, and clearly we have a lot to share by invitation from Reverend Champion. So if you want to share, just turn on your camera and raise your hand, or use your reaction button and choose raise hand. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys, what you got to say. Thank you, Reverend Champion, for the opportunity.
Jerry? Thank you so much, Reverend Champion. And thank you for bringing Reverend Jeff into this experience this evening, because as we prepare for a celebration of his life on the 4th, and it's been a beautiful collaboration of individuals working toward making this the most grace-filled and loving experience. As far as our positioning, I I really believe that that's what spiritual community is all about for me individually, and then us as a collective as we come together. And that was very, very, very clear when we reopened our center for the first time in person on August 1st. There was an energetic and a feeling of connection, and that feeling that we all miss so much, coming together, being together, grabbing hugs with those who were in the hugging mode, so we were honoring everyone who might not be ready for hugging, but we really were very conscious and very considerate of that. But it's just merely the opportunity to be together that has been so rich and wonderful. That energy, that feeling tone that has made our spiritual community what it is today. Just everyone being together and connecting. The 7 or the 20 or the 50, whatever. The people on live stream. It's that your talk tonight really spoke to me and allowed me to even appreciate more our spiritual community and our connection and this teaching, which is so amazing. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. I loved the analogy. I loved your story about what happened, listening to our intuition and taking action. And even if we don't listen, we do things that we are guided to do. There's always that opportunity to step back and reflect and say, now I know why that happened. Maybe I didn't feel so comfortable about that at the time, but now I know why that happened. It was all divinely inspired, and divine intervention is always taking place. So thank you.
Thank you.
TC? Go ahead.
Hey, thank you for that. And the whole thing with the murmur of starlings and the 7, they just track the 7 closest to them. I love that because I've been feeling really, really overwhelmed lately. And it's like, no, you just need to watch out for your 7 closest peeps. I had an experience a couple of weeks ago that was really fabulous. And I was telling a friend of mine that I hadn't seen for a long time that I was thinking that I wasn't very good at manifesting. And she looked at me and was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, really?" And so I started sort of looking for evidence of that. And a few days later, I was getting my hair cut, and my hairstylist is like 3 doors down from a secondhand shop. And I was like, I don't need anything, but I'm just going to go into second home. And I'm just following, I call them golden threads. And it's like, there's something in here for me. And I looked around and I didn't see anything. Then I saw this bookcase and I went over and there was an office chair there. So I sat in the office chair and it was like it lit up. I went, oh my God, I need this office chair in my life. And I had been needing an office chair, and my boyfriend and I had gone to great lengths to resource a chair that I had that was very comfortable, which is no longer, made. So we spent all this time dealing with this, and finally I just gave up and put the idea of an office chair out of my head. And here I was sitting in the most perfect office chair ever. And so there was no tag on it, so I had to ask, and I'm like, it was $20. Knew this chair is at least $700. And so then I'm taking it down, I'm pushing it down the street, and I'm like, I'm going to need help getting this in my car. And there's nobody on the sidewalk. And by the time I got to my car and I clicked it open and I turned around, and there was this man standing there and coming down the sidewalk. And I'm like, excuse me. And he's kind of like, uh-oh, what? I'm like, could you help me get this chair into my car? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And it was just this flow of happiness and energy, and I brought it home, and my boyfriend brought it up, and I sat, and he's like, "Oh my God, the look on your face right now." And it's such, and the reminder is that this is how my life can be on the regular. If I'm open and connected and allowing things to happen and paying attention to those, oh, let me stop here, or I don't need anything, but I'm just going to go in the shop. It's like, I mean, my job is to stay open and follow the threads. So
Yes. Thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
complete.
Stay open and follow the threads. I love that. Sabrina.
Hello. Thank you so much, Reverend Champion. That was wonderful. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you very well. Thank you.
Yeah, there was a part of your talk that just touched me so much when you were talking about fears and saying, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. I can't tell you how many times I would have loved to have jumped into my car and just go off to a destination and have a wonderful time. But the fear of, will I be safe at this gas station? Will I be safe at this location? Of course, goes way back, the generations of fear of because of color, race.
Right.
And so I really appreciate and take from your talk the reminder that I am safe, and to just get more courage and just do it. So thank you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think you're bringing up something really important, which is the intergenerational historical aspect of our own safety. And for me, I'm trans, and there's so much in the media about trans people not being safe and I know it's a different experience for me than, but I think you're bringing up like a real thing, like it's real, right? It's not a falsehood. It's real that there's different levels of safety for different people based on our social identities.
Yeah.
And that we don't want to override our fear, but we want to be able to acknowledge it, go in and become one with it, like the raindrop and the mosquito. And then we can evaluate. If we can go in and connect with the divine, then we can evaluate the truth. Am I truly safe or am I not safe? And we can tap into that guidance. And so thank you for sharing that, because it is real, and I want to give a practice in this moment. I'm studying right now with Resma Menakem.
Oh, yes.
And so there's a really simple practice for settling in our bodies. So if you're ever somewhere and you have anxiety come up or you're feeling afraid, if you turn and look behind you and up and just check into the whole room, see what's in the room, find the exits, then look in the other direction, turn and look up, become aware of what's in the room, where are the doors, where are the exits here. And if you notice, that's like there's a settling that happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Kind of like being on the airplane and knowing where the safe exits are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Reverend Champion, Reverend Sally has been gracious in posting some of your, I would say, top 10 hits statements today. But you might scroll through so you can recognize that some people have chimed in with some comments like from
Oh,
Joan
okay.
and on some of the things you said, and I wanted just to acknowledge those people that wanted to thank you through that medium.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Constance?
Thanks, Peter. Is my volume okay?
That's a little low.
Ugh. Well, I'm going to talk loud then because I'm not putting my headphones on for this.
That's fine. Just move up close to your speaker computer.
So the question that I have is about sort of following up on what you were talking with Sabrina about. Is that I've thought, I mean, first of all, it's clear to me that you're a very deep thinker. That and I want to have you, if you would talk a little bit about how the pain and the rockiness of the roads has actually helped has it actually helped in furthering that deepness within you?
Oh yeah, wow. Wow, that's an interesting question. How the pain. You know, there's a saying that if we were all to sit in a circle and everyone would put our so-called problems or our challenges in the center, and then we'd all put everything, our challenges, our problems, everything we've been through in the center of the circle, and then we were asked to pick, we would pick our own problems back out of the circle because they make us who we are, right? They make us uniquely us. And, you know, as Reverend Jerry was saying, there are things that we go through that we don't understand until later, how much they've supported our transformation. And so when we have pain, you know, there's Michael Beckwith says, you know, pain pushes and vision pulls, right? It's when we are in the most pain, at the times when we drop to our knees, that we're inspired in those hardest moments to call on what we know supports us. Our spiritual practice, meditation, affirmation, prayer, calling a practitioner, getting support. And for me, when I'm in those moments of the most suffering or deepest pain, that's when the highest level of evidence of my faith and of the power and presence of God is. That there's a direct correlation between the depth of the struggle and the connection to the divine. Sometimes it's when things are going really smoothly that I can let my practice go, or I'm less aware of the presence that's supporting me. And so some of the hardest things that have ever happened in my life that I've had to go through and heal through are the things that made me. They're the things that make me me, and they're the things that make me a more connected presence, that my life is more the activity of the divine when things are hard, because I can let the divine flow through into my life because I'm out of the way. I have to get my ego out of the way in those moments, because if I don't, I won't survive, and I want to survive. So I hope that answers your question.
Dorothy?
Reverend Champion, my name is Dorothy Mendez, and I'm a practitioner at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Do you have any suggestions to bring practitioners together during this time of COVID and the loss of our leader, Reverend Jeff? It's been a very difficult period for all of us. And I was just wondering if you had any suggestions to help us become a more cohesive community.
Wow. Yeah. I you know, I don't know that much about where you are as a community right now. How many practitioners and how many active engaged practitioners. But I think if you all can slow your lives down and come together, create some spaciousness to be together without an agenda, without a checklist, no checklists, just coming together heart to heart, present to each other, and seeing the divine expression that each of you is, and just sitting in that with each other. You know, my part of the reason that I drove to California is because the wedding I'm attending is my best friend. My best friend transitioned 5 years ago. We were like soul friends. And she had a partner of 20 years, and the three of us formed this great little nuclear family, chosen family. And when my friend passed 5 years ago, her partner who survived, and I became very, very close. And I couldn't imagine that she would marry someone new and that someone brand new would come into the picture. And so when I part of the reason I drove, the guidance I got to drive was to grieve, to tend to my grief, to create a spaciousness to feel the loss.
Yes.
And I think that public communal grieving as practitioners, coming together, telling the truth about the loss that you feel. And we know that Jeff has gone on to a new form of his amazing consciousness, and that he is with and through and in this community still, and that he's everywhere present, right? And we grieve the loss of his physical form, we grieve the loss of his leadership, grieve the loss of his smile, his hugs, his amazingness. And you can grieve while tending to the community. You can grieve while tending to the work of the church. But I think creating a spaciousness with each other and being together to just be. You know, Aristotle says that being and being possible are the same thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Ellie, you had turned your mic on in your video. Was there something you wanted to say and share?
First and foremost, Reverend Champion, thank you so much for being you. Your authenticity, your realness, you bring such wisdom. You always have, and you always will. Yeah, I feel it very deeply.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Mm.
I want to thank you very much. We're drawing to our close here. Unless someone has something burning they want to share, it's interesting that for me, being in this role, Reverend Champion, that I get to help create a space of spaciousness on Wednesday nights for us to be together. That midweek oasis, that place where we become refreshed. And I mentioned to you in the pre-service meeting that we'd be a little bit lenient on the time and the sharing it because of the events that have taken place here at the center, which you so eloquently and lovingly just gave us terrific guidance on. Answered Dorothy's question, because Dorothy and I work very closely together in two different arenas and at the center. And I just noticed in my mind, my mind's eye, that I just finally kind of realized, even though it's been March to August, what's that, 5 months of this place we're in, that we've been I'm looking at the notes I wrote, in an extreme, a time of extreme sensitivity.
Mhm.
And that our awarenesses have been heightened around this new feeling that we're having, which we're calling grief and recognizing loss, because we didn't have that before. And it's kind of a new experience. And your points that Reverend Jerry put in the thing will be very, very helpful as we move closer to Reverend Jeff's memorial, which a lot of us have our 7 folks and 7 jobs that we'll be doing to present the absolute best memorial for Reverend Jeff, and whatever role we take. I love what you said about gathering with no agenda. I think that's important because all of our senses are heightened, trying to adapt to this new sensation that we're experiencing here at the center. So I am extremely grateful to you. You've helped me immensely. So thank you for being sensitive to that. I didn't expect it to come out tonight, but yeah, thank you. You are the right person at the right. Jeff always said the secret of his success here at the center was, and I've always said this about him, but he said it's all about positioning the people to come forward to do the right thing at the right time, to do the right thing for the right reason. That's his legacy for me as a leader. And he really did that. And I feel like you were divinely brought to us at this time, this close to our event, to help guide us through. So I'm extremely grateful to you in ways I never even thought possible tonight. So thank you for being willing to come internationally, our second international speaker.
Yeah.
Bonnie Gonzalez, one of our practitioner, co-resides in Ireland.
Oh,
And she
great.
comes and speaks on a Wednesday night occasionally. She's at home now, but here. But when she zooms in from Ireland, and she even spoke on a Wednesday night from Ireland. So you're number 2, but nothing wrong with that. So thank you for your willingness. I know everybody on this call is thanking you through whatever means they can. But thank you for showing us how to guide ourselves today. So with that, I'm going to do some announcements if you're all ready. We have some important ones for you to know. Dr. Barbara, if you're ready on the showing side. On Sunday, August 29th, practitioner Zoe DeMuro is talking about rise and reemerge. This will complete our August monthly theme of a playful pause for guidance. So join us physically and in person on Sunday, August 29th in the sanctuary if you wish, or you can watch the service live on live stream or YouTube, which you can access through our website. Service starts at 10:30. Please know that if you will be joining us on Sunday in person, everyone is required to wear a mask inside all of our buildings at all times, and we will be practicing social distancing. Next Wednesday, September 1st, was always Jeff's favorite when Wednesday night was the first Wednesday, and he would always do the first Wednesday of every month, and it would start a new month. So Teresa Gardner will be stepping into that role, leading us as a practitioner and a ministerial student, and she'll speak about and introduce our September theme of reaching higher. Meditation at 6:30 and service at 7. Wednesday services are going to continue in Zoom for the future. This Sunday is the last bookstore courtyard sale. Coming in September is new merchandise. So our September sale will focus on 30% off books for CSL fall classes. And right now that only class is the certified class is Advanced Consciousness Studies. So all that material will be 30% off. Don't forget, Diversity Circle this month is hosting a virtual book reading with a panel of authors reading from the recently published anthology, Essential Truths, The Bay Area in Color. You can order that book in advance. So check the Village News or our events page on the website for an ordering link. Our Diversity Circle meets this Friday, August 27th from 7 to 9 in Zoom. Men of Spirit, a newly formed group for anyone who identifies as male, is having its first meeting on Saturday, August 28th from 1:30 to 4 in the social hall. Please RSVP to Sam Lejean. Please check the Village News or the events page for Sam's contact information. Let the teens in your life know, Friday, August 27th at 6:30, teens from the East Bay and beyond are joining in a Zoom evening for a TNT, Teens in New Thought. This is an evening of fun and friendship. Go to the events page on our website for the Zoom link. We've talked about it tonight. We're going to talk about it again. Reverend Jeff's memorial service will be Saturday, September 4th at 11 a.m. at the center. We've asked you to RSVP on the link. That link, the reservations for seating is now closed because we've reached our maximum. So now that that period is over, and if you did respond, your name will be on a list in the lobby and you will be able to sit in the sanctuary for the service. If you did not respond, but are planning on attending, we're going to accommodate folks in the courtyard with a big screen TV where we'll be showing the service out in the courtyard so we can watch the service together out there. If you did not respond and do not wish to come to the center, we understand. You can watch Reverend Jeff's memorial service on live stream. We will be live streaming it on the live stream link on the website, just like Sunday service. And all of that information is on our webpage. Everything you want to know about Oakland Center is on www.oaklandcsl. Make sure you check out the events page for some of these and other things that are going on. Don't forget about spiritual weight loss. Don't forget about Noontime with Dr. Dan. Don't forget about Susan Brecker's in-person small group on Tuesdays in the courtyard, or Zoe DeMuro's Thursday night online small group. There's a whole bunch of things we can do as recommended by Reverend Champion to what do you call that? The murmuring of the starlings. These are ways,
Murmuration.
Thank you. These are ways we can murmurate. Is that a word? Is that legal for me
Yeah,
to say in
that's-
public? I hope
Sounds good to
so.
me.
Are you murmurating or percolating? We have a wonderful Zoom team. I want to thank them at this moment. Peter, Barbara, Alice, Luis is in there helping out. You guys, I think I've mentioned you all. You're the best. I want to thank Reverend Sally for being here for the introduction of Reverend Champion. Constance, you're always, your name is right on, constantly supporting us in ways that folks don't know, but I know. So I want to thank you for that. It's our giving time right now. So just take a moment and think about those gifts that you would like to give to the center. Reverend E says, I love money and money loves me. That's the law of reciprocation. So in honor of Reverend E, I say joyously, I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive. Something I got from May 8th on Dr. Dan. He had this in his zinger, his nugget at the end of the May 8th, systematic benevolence was the name of the theme. So I'm going to use this as kind of an affirmation, and I'm going to change it up a little bit for you, Reverend Champion. By doing good with his, her, or their money, a person stamps the image of God upon it and makes it pass as currency for the merchandise of heaven. So if you're so inclined to donate to the center, we have now not one, not two, not three, but 4 ways you can give. You can press the donate button with your and use your credit card from the website. You can still mail it in. We actually have 5 ways, and I just thought of the 5th way. You can be really modern, like our hip hop soon-to-be minister, Lucian, who was here last week. He's a one of those texter guys. So I call him, you know, he's just the best and modern. 510-327-3431 is our text. You can text, use that medium. We now have Zelle. You can go to giving@oaklandcsl.org, or you can attend the Sunday service where we have an offering basket. So that's the 5th way for those that feel safe enough. I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. Reverend Champion, we're going to be talking about your Wednesday night a lot. So within that, we're grateful for our gifts. We know it benefits us and those outside of this gate and inside of this gate.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Dorothy Mendez the Magnificent. Ministry of Prayer. I have a secret about her I'll tell you about after this service. So stay tuned. As soon as we finish this, Reverend Champion, I'm going to ask you to close us in prayer. I think that's where we're at in the prayer. And again, heartfelt thanks, Reverend Champion, for it's a divine appointment and you accept it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure to be with you tonight. It's such a blessing to be able to connect this way. And so I'm just visualizing us in the beautiful sanctuary at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, in circle, connected through our hearts and our hands. I'm giving thanks for Zoom, which is a miracle of the divine. Giving thanks for our ability to come together in the one as the one, heart to heart, mind to mind, soul to soul, and to receive the truth and to engage that truth as the activity of our lives. I know that this day we are blessed, we are holy, we are sacred beings doing divine work. And that from this moment we go forward our separate ways, but we are eternally and forever connected and changed by this moment. Giving thanks for everyone whose voice was in the room and for everyone who wrote something in the chat and for everyone who didn't speak or write, but knowing that your presence is felt. I'm blessing you all in your murmuration of Oakland Center, knowing that you care for and love each other, and that Reverend Jeff's memorial will be a blessed moment and a beginning to know the truth that life keeps living, that Jeff is everywhere present and in and through the community, that his brilliance and wisdom is intertwined in all that is done and all that you do together, that the love that Jeff is felt, it is palpable, it's in and through all. And it is one and the same as the love of God. So I know that things that you never thought possible are underway right now. That it is already done, the success, the wholeness, the abundance and prosperity of Oakland Center is already done. And I know that in the collective, so it is in the individual, that each person here is seeing new guidance, new expressions of the brilliance of God that's showing up in each and everyone's lives. That fear and anxiety recede and love and power come to the forefront. So I give thanks and I release this word. I let go. I let God be God. And so it is.